You can't account for anything in wrestling. You can be the best in the world when WWE rings you up, signs you, and then tells you you're gonna have to be man-tar. I don't think that's gonna work out. The thing is, it could. Sports entertaining is so mad there's no knowing how things will play out, which is why I'm Simon from What Culture. Please go touch that subscribe button. And this is 10 WWE disasters that became life-changing moments. Number 10, Mankind thrives despite the gimmick. So this ties right into the intro. When Mick Foley got signed by WWE, he was presented with Mason the Mutilator, complete with ridiculous costume and mask. It was so utterly ridiculous, even Foley knew this was not good. Who the hell was going to make this work? It was very much of the time, as in the mid-90s, the WWF was obsessed with job-related gimmicks, and because we'd never had a mutilator before, well, we better change that ASAP. Because Mick is a smart cat, though, he didn't want to just say no. He found a compromise. He would happily wear the headgear, but just wanted to be called Mankind. As soon as he got his own creative brain into it too, you know what happened. He added so many layers to this gimmick, he became the World Heavyweight Champion. It's quite the success story. The real turning point was those series of interviews he did with Jim Ross where Mankind bared his soul using Foley's real-life story, and when McMahon saw this, his eyes lit up too. Mick Foley became one of his guys. So really, we should all learn from this. Stay calm, have an alternative, and then go out there and smash it. Mrs. Foley's baby boy rocks. Number 9, Becky Lynch takes a real punch. Have you ever heard that saying that goes, a door closes but a window opens? Or whatever it is. Bingo. Because WWE were ready to go big with Becky Lynch after SummerSlam 2018, even though they wanted her as a heel. This was silly because fans had decided they loved her, but you know the deal with that. Shut up. We then built to the Survivor Series, and when Raw and SmackDown were fighting, Nia Jax whacked Bex for real and broke her nose. Instantly, all plans were out that window we just talked about. Or were they? Because Lynch reacted to blood all over her face like such a badass. Even though she wasn't cleared to wrestle, she just became the best. Nobody was as cool and edgy, plus she used her social media game to ruin people. This was the guy. It also gave birth to the Man character, which was super cool, and by the time she got the green light to go, forget about it. It's why she was part of the first women to ever main event WrestleMania the following year. Without her, I don't think it happens. Becky was just so ridiculously popular, and deservedly so. She totally earned this spot, and it all clicked when she got smacked for real. What a world. Number 9, HBK's injury gives birth to DX 2.0. So this is still an argument people have today. Which version of D-Generation X was better? You've got round 1, which was Shawn Michaels Triple H in China, and then you've got round 2, which is Hunter, Sean Waltman, the New Age Outlaws, and the Ninth Wonder of the World. There is no definitive answer, but for me, I'm going with the second coming. Amazingly too, this may not have happened if Michaels hadn't have wrecked his back in that match against The Undertaker at the 1998 Royal Rumble, when he was thrown into a casket and things went bad. As we know, it kept him out for years, and for a while we never thought he was going to return. When he did go away to sort it, however, Triple H took charge of DX, and yeah, he smashed it. X-Pac returned from WCW, which was a big deal, whereas Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg took a massive step up and answered the challenge. China continued to be the ace up the sleeve too, and let's not pretend they didn't come together to help the Attitude Era explode. I mean, WWE does overdo their importance, but still, they had to exist in order to lead the WWF back to the top. They never looked back after this, and yeah, it was all due to Shawn Michaels' injury, which was terrible at the time. I mean, once again, I ask you the question, does it happen without it? Maybe not. And that is mad to think about. Number 7, Sami Zayn in the Bloodline. So today, this is the best thing ever. It's been an astute move by all and has resulted in one of the greatest stories WWE has told. I love it, and I love that it consistently grows. There were some who guffawed at this at first, though, because do not forget, Sami's last feud before it had been with Johnny Knoxville. Now, I will go to my grave telling people that this was a masterclass and only Zayn could have pulled it off, but from there, Roman Reigns was quite the switch. Without this addition, though, I don't think we get to where we've got. Sami had that lovable factor which made this so entertaining, and due to his involvement, it made Roman more of an asshole. Jey Uso benefited too as his warmth rubbed off on him, and it's the same when it comes to Jimmy. When they clashed, you had this subplot. The whole thing was deeper than a swimming pool. It also got us to that match at Elimination Chamber and the wonderful tag title victory at WrestleMania. Man, I tell ya, I needed all of it. So it wasn't so bad, especially because some fans did eye roll at this, and it continues because WWE wasn't planning for this to become what it became. It was just going to be something funny to do for a matter of weeks, I am so glad we did this instead. Number 6, dog food changes Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman talked about this recently on Rick Rubin's podcast, where he bared all. When the pandemic crept into view, Reigns decided to go away for a while because 1, he had to protect his health, and 2, WWE were doing dumb stuff with him. They were. Baron Corbin got dragged into this too because, yep, these two had to throw dog food on one another. I mean, what else can I tell you? It wasn't great for anyone, and it annoyed Roman so much he started telling people things were changing, which is when Vince McMahon finally greenlit the head of the table character, and look where we are now. Without hitting these lows, maybe this doesn't happen either, so thank goodness for this crap, or dog food. It was the final straw which made Roman realize he had to take over, and he's become an all-timer ever since. I know the championship run has gone on for ages, but I am fine with it. The end result has been some of the best TV in ages. That is fine by me. Number 5, the return of Paul Heyman. On the 9th of April 2012, WWE made Brock Lesnar go to the ring and do a proper Raw opening promo segment with Johnny Laurinaitis. The reason I phrase it this way is because it was stupid. The Beast can absolutely sell you on a match if you do give him a microphone, but when it comes to the goofy wrestling stuff we do, well, no, don't make him do that. Brock is legit, so just let him yell at people that he's gonna kill them. Seemingly, we forgot about this a decade ago, so to build Lesnar's match with John Cena, we treated Brock as such, and even the next big thing thought this was rubbish. As soon as he was done, he marched backstage and told Vince McMahon it was time to reunite him with Paul Heyman. Now, this wasn't part of the plan, as Heyman and Vince had parted ways not on the best of terms a few years prior, but you know Brock, he gets what he wants. Always. It was so important though, as not only did it turn Lesnar into this monster who is still going strong today, but it meant Paul was back amongst the fold, and do not kid yourself. His influence is all over WWE in 2023, and good. He's great at this stuff. I mean, Heyman is a huge part of why the bloodline is as popular as it is, so if Brock doesn't ask, well, let's not worry about it. A true sliding doors moment. Number 4, Steve Austin's neck blows up. It wasn't a major surprise that Stone Cold Steve Austin thought he was done after SummerSlam 1997. Following that horrible tombstone piledriver from Owen Hart which shattered his neck so bad, he was temporarily paralyzed. That's terrifying. If you do go back and watch it now though, the rattlesnake used his time away from the ring after this to connect the remaining dots. It was quite clear Stone Cold worked on the character, and with the WWF having to think outside of the box to keep him on TV, it led to that Raw on the 22nd of September in Madison Square Garden. Do you know what happened on that night? Well, any hardened fan will be able to tell you because yes, this is when Steve dropped McMahon with a stunner for the first time, when we pulled the trigger on that feud. Man, does the Attitude Era boom happen without this? Probably. It's not worth the risk. By the time Austin was good to go too, this was the backdrop for everything the company did, and they never looked back. And look, don't get me wrong, I'd still rather Steve or nobody ever broke their neck for obvious reasons, but either way, this dude went out there and found a way to take advantage. Number 3, Cody Rhodes says no to Stardust. Do not forget that in an alternative universe, this version of events happened. WWE told Cody Rhodes he would have to remain as Stardust, and the grandson of a plumber just went with it. Because why not? Thankfully in our world, Cody said screw that, and after Vince McMahon and Triple H had turned on a dime once more about his spangly gimmick, he told them he wanted to leave. In 2016 he did just that, and we know the rest. Rhodes changed the wrestling world. This must have sucked for the future American nightmare at the time though. I mean, compare it to your job. You've been promised a raise, a promotion, a new office, whatever, and then nope, it never happens, and even worse, the powers that be keep teasing that it will. That's not good for anybody. Rhodes was so desperate he kept pitching ideas too, and many of his unused ones you can see on YouTube, but WWE decided they knew best. As it turned out, they didn't. It's still one of the most inspirational stories in recent memory because Cody didn't just reinvent himself, he returned in 2021 and became the star he always wanted to be without having to do a galactic cartwheel. So, in the immortal words of the late great Tina Turner, he is simply the best. Shouldn't have done it. Number 2, boos forced The Rock heel. So this is a classic, but let's not forget the impact and ramifications it had. Although, just in case you don't know. After The Rock debuted in 1996, he was pretty much booed from day one. The seas of wrestling were changing, and yet Vince McMahon still told the then Rocky Maivia to smile and wink at the people. Even when he lost, he wasn't meant to care that much. Shock horror, people hated it. This was way too 1980s. Shortly after this, the Great One got injured, and much like his greatest ever opponent Stone Cold Steve Austin, he used this to rethink things. boy, did that ever work. Because when he came back, he joined the Nation of Domination, started calling himself The Rock, and went full-on asshole bad guy. But still, he had proper motivation. The audience had quite literally told him to die. So yeah, I get it. Why would you pander to him? There's no need to underline the success of this today because Dwayne Johnson is the biggest star in Hollywood. I don't think he gets there without this. The corporate champion persona allowed The Rock to show a side we didn't even think existed, and he's never looked back. I mean, his major WWE run only lasted about 7 years, and he's still considered an all-timer. You gotta have something special in you to pull that off. Number 1, Mustafa Ali creates Kofi Mania. So what does that even mean? Sounds like gibberish, right? Well, it's sort of true. Because in 2019, WWE had plans for Mustafa Ali. As they should have, he's great. He was going to start winning gauntlets and other matches before moving on to WrestleMania 35, where he would challenge Daniel Bryan for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's almost unthinkable given that today Ali always loses. The night before the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, however, Mustafa suffered an injury. It sucked, but the show must go on, so the ever-reliable Kofi Kingston was brought in as a replacement. I'm not sure that anybody was prepared for what came next. Because, in short, fans realized that Kofi had always been brilliant and deserved his run at the top of the card, so they got behind him like crazy. In fact, he got so much momentum it took him all the way through to WrestleMania where, yep, he defeated Bryan to become the champ. It's genuinely one of the best things WWE has ever done. It was so well received it essentially ruined the rest of the show, although that's also down to the fact WWE wanted it to run for 692 hours. Let's not talk about how Kingston lost the thing. I don't want to be a sad panda. The point is, while this was such a shame for Ali, Kofi was able to finally get his moment, and it rocked. I do hope we run it back at some point and fix the finish, but either way, you'll love to see it. Know of any other disasters that became life-changing moments? Make sure you let us know in the comments below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then head over to whatculture.com where you can read articles like this with your eyes. Make sure you follow us on social media, WhatCulture, WWE, and Time at a 316. Look, you can see that video on the screen for another list. Give it a click. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you very much for joining me as always, and hopefully you learned something today. And if not, never mind. What was the point to begin with? Goodbye.